What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and today we're going to be taking a look at the newly released iRacing Ruf RT12R. We're going to be driving the track version around Bathurst because, well, you have a GT3 car, where do you take it? Probably to one of the best tracks in the world. Seems logical to me. But we are driving the track version, which the Ruf RT12R comes with 3 versions in iRacing, and they are, well, 2 of them are distinctly different, for sure. The third one is kind of similar to this car a little bit, sort of. But the 3 versions, and you get all 3 for the price of 1, are the road car, the rear-wheel drive road car, pushing out 750 horsepower, so I do believe turbocharged, pretty much craziness. And then there are 2 race cars. The cockpit doesn't change, the exterior doesn't change, unfortunately. Although I will say, it is a nice looking cockpit, and analog gauges are a nice change of pace, but still kind of weird in a race car. And that would be the Spec, which basically recreates a Porsche 911 Cup car, about 450 horsepower, medium weight, probably a little bit less tire than this car has, a little less downforce, just a little bit slower, but still a very cool car. As well as this car, which is the track version, which is thinly disguised, obviously, a Porsche 911 GT3R. This is a GT3 car. Don't let the interior fool you. Don't let the exterior fool you, but the exterior actually does look fairly racy with that wing back there. Now, being iRacing's latest car, this comes with new tire model version 5, which if you go back to probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I basically said I would not drive anything that wasn't on new tire model version 5, which is a significant improvement over the previous one. In so many ways. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's definitely a heck of a lot better. Going forward, this is all I need, all I want to drive. Let's just forget the past and let's march forward. You know, this car is just a bucket load of fun. You can slide around. You don't feel like you're going to die. You actually feel like there's grip. Especially with that rear engine location and slick tires. You can definitely power out of the corners for sure. Now, being a GT3 car here in the track version, it does come with a couple of adjustments, such as ABS, which is obviously allowed on the real cars because GT3 is largely developed for, you know, professionals as well as amateurs. Whereas, if I'm not mistaken, the Spec car, the Cup version, does not feature ABS. The weird thing is, though, even though this tire feels like there's a lot more grip and it's definitely a lot more, you know, easy to pick up, it's a lot easier, it's a lot more approachable, at the same time, I feel like it's more out of control. And I mean that in the good way. You know, there's difficulty for the sake of being difficult, and then there's the real difficulty. Which, you know, I kind of feel like this really gets it. Now, one thing I don't particularly like is I don't know what's going on here with the transmission, because the GT3 cars are, in the real world, paddle shifted. You know, you have automatic throttle cut on upshifts, which we have here, as well as throttle blipping on downshifts. You know, exactly like the McLaren MP412C GT3 that we already have here in iRacing, which unfortunately is not on the current tire model, the newest one. Wah, wah, wah. But it seems like here you gotta blip it, but at the same time it doesn't seem to respond to the regular blipping. I just haven't really figured out the RPMs and all that. So I'm lacking a little confidence downshifting, but it'll come in due time. I really do wish, though, that the cockpit would change, at least. Even if the exterior model didn't change, I mean, really wouldn't bother me that much because of the fact that, you know, the car does look quite racy anyways. But, you know, the steering wheel, I could do with a different steering wheel. I could do with, you know, even just a simple little display unit, you know. But it is what it is. It's not going to stop me from driving this car because this car is enjoyable to drive, and it's a car I'm interested in driving, so I'm going to drive it. It really is, though, very strange how you feel like there's more grip, but at the same time, it definitely feels, to me, more difficult. It still is that little bit of that death wiggle that seems to happen in iRacing way too much, but you know, that could be setup issues or something like that, but that is a flaw that iRacing has had for a very long while, not just exclusive to this version of the tire or the previous one. .207 with a full tank of probably about 25 gallons at this point. Not that bad. Considering it's my first time out here. I want to say the record for a GT3 car is around a 203, if I'm not mistaken. So this car, in theory, should be competitive directly with the McLaren that iRacing already has, as well as the Z4 GT3 that we'll be getting, you know, eventually, whenever that may be. So this is a big car for iRacing. I was really looking forward to this car, perhaps more than any other car that I've seen released in my 4 years of iRacing. You know, the only car that I can think of that I was as anticipating of the release of was really the Corvette C6R GT1, which I was really excited for that car to come out, and because of the way the force feedback was, it didn't work out for me, you know, back then. It's a much better car now, but, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a disappointment, whereas this, even though I was looking forward to it, I really didn't expect a lot, although it's just very exciting to, you know, have a updated car with the best tire model that they have to offer that is significantly better than the old one in so many regards. You know, it's exciting. It's just a very nice car to drive. It really is. Like, I'm actually having fun driving an iRacing, and, you know, I never really felt the whole, oh, it's like ice, but at the same time, it wasn't right. You know, it might sound very strange to describe or to say something like that, you know. I always felt like the grip on the other tires was there, but once you got past the limit, you know, once you got a little bit sideways, that death wiggle set in and you're pretty much done for in most situations. You really had to be spot on point with your corrections. You had to drive ahead of the car, you know, to a supreme degree. Easy on that curb. But just as an interesting comparison, I guess. Not really an official comparison or anything like that, but I'm going to link a video in the description I did with a R-Factor version of the 997 Porsche Cup car, which is a little bit slower than this. It's closer to the Spec car that iRacing has done, but it's at Bathurst here, and I think you'll see some similarities between laps and everything. You'll see a lot of the same stuff happen, and that mod is brilliant, honestly. You know, but honestly, I do think this is better, but you know, that is, you know, natural. You know, I've been doing a lot of comparison recently on my own time, not doing any videos of it or anything, but you know, with older sims versus the newer ones, and it really is amazing that we're starting to come around to the point where every sim is starting to get to the same point. You know, the actual realistic part. Every sim in their updates keeps moving towards this very small little point. You know, these cars here, this car here in iRacing, and you know, I'd expect the rest of the GT cars, which probably will happen in the next update, we would assume, because they've already said that they'll release the updates for the tire model, the newest tire model on the cars that are similar, which means that kissing the wall, which means that the GT cars should happen pretty much all at the same time, being a GT car, obviously. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ford GT, the McLaren, maybe even the Cadillac. I'd hope the Cadillac, because that'd be a fun car if they got it right. You know, will be updated probably in the next build, I would think. There's been nothing said official. This is just guesstimation, but a lot of us are guessing the exact same thing because we're not entirely crazy. But you know, honestly, with a GT3 car here in the track version, the McLaren GT3 car, right now they're running fairly similar lap times. The version 5 tire model was a little bit slower than the version 4 on the cars that they updated by the tune of about a second. But, you know, just a little bit of extra weight to one car or the other car, depending on how that works, could really go a long way. And we very well could have a actual, legitimate, multi-make single-class series at iRacing. You know, if you update the McLaren X build, you know, and they're racing together at the same time, yeah, I'll be racing there for sure. No questions asked. I'm gonna have a blast with that. You know, so really, this is one of those things where, yeah, there are downsides. I wish we had an actual race car interior. I wish it actually looked like a race car, but I can survive. That corner is such a bitch. That corner is all about your setup, because if you have your car set up just too stiff and you hit the wrong line every single time, you are just going to basically face plant into a wall, which is what that was. And you can do that in every single sim that this track exists. That's not, oh my god, broken physics or anything like that. This transmission is driving me crazy. Because right there I didn't blip at all. It's still downshifted, but at the same time you could hear that the rear end was just hopping around. It is just like, you've locked the driveline up. Oh, and another last thing here. You see the ABS settings, and I'm pretty sure that was not the fast way through there, but we got through there. You see the ABS settings, same thing as with the McLaren. Setting 1 is the least amount of ABS possible. That is still there. The system is still active. Going up to 11, the system is active. That's the most amount of ABS available. it also means that you stop really slow right there. And then you go to 12, and that is the ABS turned entirely off. So that's the Ruf RT12R track version. And now I'm going to play you some trackside cameras. That way you can hear how the sound, or hear how the car sounds. And it sounds pretty darn glorious. But then again, that's about what happens whenever you have a flat 6 in your car. So hope you guys enjoy this car. It's definitely one that might change your opinions on iRacing. So yeah, that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.